As a small business owner, have you ever felt overwhelmed by the pressure of choosing the right hire or leading a team? Or have you ever found yourself tolerating a bad hire because you fear trying and failing again as you repeat the hiring process? If so, you're not alone, and you are in the right place. Welcome to the Growing Your Team podcast. The Growing Your Team podcast teaches business owners like you to expand your unique business by teaching you to master the hiring and team management process. Hiring and managing a team does not have to be a challenge. You just have to learn to do it right. And the Growing Your Team podcast teaches you how to become a confident leader who hires right every single time. Now, let's jump into the show where each episode you will learn tips on how to identify what type of help you need on your team, how to source amazing candidates, how to conduct interviews that lead you to your ideal team member, how to onboard successfully, and how to lead every person in your business so you have a team of rock stars who you are happy to pay every single paycheck. So let's jump in and teach you how to hire like a pro. Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to share something special with you all. So today, this episode is going live on December 13th, which means tomorrow is my birthday. And I love giving gifts. So this year for my birthday, I am giving a gift to you. Lately, I've had a number of people reach out to me that want hiring help, that need support with their questions, but don't quite need one of the normal packages that we offer here at Growing Your Team. And so they ask, do you offer consulting sessions? And my answer is always yes. And over the next few days for my birthday gift to you, I want to offer these sessions to you at a discounted rate. So you can go and purchase just for a limited time until 11:59 on Monday, December 19th. You can purchase my hiring strategy consulting sessions at a discounted rate. You can either get one session at a discount, two sessions at a discount, or a 4-session bundle where you get 4 60-minute hiring strategy sessions for the price of 3. So head on over to growingyourteam.com/birthday to check out this offer and purchase your discounted strategy sessions today. Well, I hope you're now as excited about my birthday as I am. But let's jump to why you're listening today and jump into today's episode. Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, let's talk about employees discussing pay between each other. I was recently talking to some business owners, and they asked me how to discourage this. And I kind of had to bring them into reality and share with them why this isn't something that I'm going to give them tips on how to discourage. And this is what I want to discuss today on why you should not be putting policies in place or getting mad or anything like that to restrict your employees discussing pay with each other. Because the truth of the matter is, if you don't want your employees discussing pay, it is because you have something you want to hide. And that's the problem. It's not employees discussing pay themselves. It's whatever you're trying to hide that is the problem. So let's look more into this. Most of the time when employers don't want their employees discussing pay, it's because there's some sort of pay discrepancy going on. And this could be because they don't want people to find out that what they're making is not close to what other people are making. So maybe you thought you could bring in someone for really cheap because they were making less at a previous position, and what they're making, and we're just going to discuss simple, easy numbers here, is $2 an hour less than someone else who came in with the exact same skills. But you knew you needed to bring that other person in at a higher level because they were making more at their previous job, or they requested more when they started. So now there's a pay discrepancy between your two employees that are doing the same job and are the same level of proficiency. And you know, if they discuss pay, that one person who's making less money is going to be upset, and they're potentially going to ask you for more money, which means higher costs for you. And you don't want to increase them to that because you're looking at things at a budget level versus pay equity level. So if that's what's going on in your business, you have to ask yourself, why are you paying people differently when they're doing the same roles and have the same skills? So we're not talking about people that one's really junior and one's really senior. We're talking about people that are comparable. And if they're really comparable, why aren't they getting paid the same? If that is going on in your business, don't discourage the pay conversations. Do what is right and increase your lower employee's pay to match the pay the higher paying employee is receiving, because that is the right thing to do. I also want you to take this as a lesson learned, that if you're sitting there and saying, but I shouldn't be paying employees in this position doing that job that amount, that person is being paid more than they should be, that is a hiring lesson you need to learn. That you should not be going out of the top of your threshold for a position when you go to hire. Yes, there are people who are going to be over your budget. And guess what? If they're over your budget and you realistically cannot pay someone comparable that same amount, that means you should not be bringing that person in. That you have to pass on them because that is not good for your budget. Having a pay difference between the employees that are the same is not good for your business just so you can get in this other person who is over budget. Now, let's talk about the other reason why you might not want your employees discussing pay. And this is something that I know has happened a lot recently. Newer employees are being brought in at a higher rate than seasoned employees. And a lot of this is happening because people, when they're out there looking for jobs, they're not going to take lower than a certain amount. The job market got competitive and you had to offer higher pay rates in order to attract talent. The problem is now that you did that, your new employees are being paid more than your senior employees. And you do not want your senior employees finding out, because then they're going to be mad and upset and they're going to want more money. And maybe you don't have the money in your budget right now because your extra padding in that budget went to those newer employees. And that might be the reality of what's going on. But guess what? It still doesn't make it right. That is still not a reason to create policies and discourage employees from talking about their pay. Because once again, it's not that the employees are doing anything wrong discussing their pay. It's that you have pay practices in your business that are hurting your senior employees while rewarding your junior employees. And what happens when your senior employees find out? If you won't give them the raise that they deserve, they are then going to go elsewhere, which means you lose team members. You lose those people who have that knowledge that you can only get from working on the job. So you do not want to lose your employees because you're paying your senior employees too little. So what can you do in this case? A client of mine from earlier this year was in this position. They needed to raise their entry-level pay in order to attract good talent. But this meant that their entry-level team members were at the lowest level of their hierarchy, making more than the next level, and very close to even more senior team members. So they recognized that they needed to increase the pay of their current team members in order to be fair and equitable across their company. The problem was they couldn't do it all at once. So what they did was they gave everybody part of a raise and then came back a few months later and gave them the rest of the raise. And they communicated this with employees. And because a lot of their more senior employees have been on there a long time, they were really loyal to the organization. They recognized that they'd be getting a 2-part raise versus all at once. And that worked. So my advice for you is, if you do not like your employees discussing pay because you don't want them to find out that there's pay discrepancies and things that are going on that are going to make them upset, the problem's not them discussing pay. The problem is what you are paying. It's the same thing when people don't want their employees discussing pay with employees at another company. It is typically because what they pay is different than what that other company pays, and they don't want their employees to go and see that the grass might be greener if they go over there, that they might get a pay raise for going someplace else. But guess what? That's the reality, is most workers get the best pay raises when they go elsewhere. So if you're not going to reward your employees correctly internally with pay, why shouldn't they go elsewhere? Money is what keeps a roof over people's heads and food on the table. It's what helps pay for the transportation that they use to get to work. It's what they use to pay for typically the clothes that you require them to work so they can show up professionally in front of your clients, whether that means, business professional clothes or casual clothes that you don't want a whole bunch of holes and looking like they just rolled around in the dirt. There's all these things that go into someone being able to afford to live where you are located and afford to work for your business. So you need to make sure you're paying people appropriately. And restricting discussion on pay does not change that. We shouldn't make it so pay is a taboo subject. The one last thing that I want to discuss before we wrap up this episode is the fact that I know we're making a lot of improvement here, but one of the other reasons in the past why companies didn't want people discussing pay was because there was a lot of discrepancy in pay between men and women and white workers and minority workers. And if we discouraged the talk on pay, that stuff was getting swept under the rug. And once again, there is a lot of factors that go into what individual team members should earn based on skill and experience. But what we're talking about here is people of equal skill in the same position. And people would pay people differently because you're a woman. So I can pay you less than a man because you're going to accept it because that's what you're used to. And if we don't let you talk about it, you'll never know that the man is making more than you. And so pay should be one of those things that's discussed. We know that certain roles pay better than other roles when we look at our society as a whole. We know that a doctor or a lawyer is going to make more money than a janitor. But I believe as a society, pay should be something that's discussed all the time. We should know if we're being paid what we're worth as workers. We should know that someone's not trying to take advantage of us. As a society, we might be better off and be more open-minded to people when we really understand that that person who's working 40 hours a week makes under a livable wage in this community. But because we see pay as a taboo subject, people sometimes are ashamed and scared to talk about their pay because they don't want any repercussions that might come their way. But we need to change that. We need to not look at it as we need to stop our employees from talking about pay, but rather, are we taking the actions to be fair and equitable with our pay structure? Because if you're not, that is what needs to be solved. So I encourage you to look at your pay structure if you have multiple employees fulfilling the same role. Does it make sense? Being that you most likely are a small business with maybe only one person per title, I want you to compare those titles. Are you paying your team members appropriately for the roles and responsibilities and authority they have within your organization? You might find that there are certain team members who should be getting paid more than they're getting paid now because they have more authority and responsibility than you're paying them for. So look at your pay structures. And as you bring in new positions, look at your pay structures to really understand where you should be bringing people in, what the appropriate ranges are to make sure that you're not only paying someone appropriately for the work that they're doing, but also for the impact that they're going to make on your organization. So once again, let's not discourage the conversation of pay. I'm not saying you need to lead the discussions, but build pay structures in your business where if your employees decide to discuss pay internally or externally with friends and family, that you have nothing to be ashamed of as a business owner because you know that you are paying your employees fairly and correctly. And that wraps up today's episode of the Growing Your Team podcast. But before we go, I want to remind you one more time about the special birthday offer that is available to you until Monday the 19th at 11:59 p.m. I am offering you discounted hiring strategy sessions. These are 60-minute sessions that you can use anytime between now and the end of 2023 to discuss your most pressing hiring and onboarding needs. Whether that's help figuring out what you need to delegate next, creating your picture of your ideal candidates, reviewing your onboarding plan, or dealing with issues that come up as you're onboarding and training your team members, these sessions are yours. We will cover whatever it is that you need so that way you can have success hiring your new team members and growing your business in 2023. Because 2023 is the year you will master the art of hiring. So head on over to growingyourteam.com/birthday and get your discounted hiring strategy sessions today. There are deals on 1, 2, and 4 session bundles, and a 4-session bundle can be yours for the cost of only 3 hiring strategies. So that's buy 3, get 1 free with the hiring strategy sessions so you can learn to hire like a pro.